Hello class, this is lesson 2-1 in your textbooks about the percent of change. So let's get started. We're talking about the percentage of an original amount that in some way has been changed. Okay, maybe it has been increased, maybe it's been decreased, and this could also look like a ratio or a fraction. So it doesn't always have to look like a percentage. Now, when we're talking about the term percent of increase, this happens when the original amount is increased. So maybe the price of something went up. But if we're talking about the percent of decrease, this is when the original amount is decreased. For instance, when there's a sale, the price goes down. So let's start with an example. It says Comcast increased your internet plan from $36 to $46 per month. Find the percent of increase. Okay, so we're going to start with a bar diagram. And what I'm going to show you is that this whole bar represents $36. That is my regular internet bill. And if I'm paying all of it, it would equal 100% of my bill. But I'm actually going to be paying more now. So if I subtract 45 from 36, that's telling me that I'm going to add on to my bill another $9. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my $36 and I'm going to divide it by that 9. And that's going to tell me that I'm going to divide my regular bill into 4 equal sections. And each of those sections represents $9. So those 4 yellow sections are each 25% of my bill. So $9 represents 25%, which means that that extra amount is also another 25% extra. So in this example, I could say that the Comcast bill that I have to pay is now going to be increased by 25%. Okay, so let's try this again with another bar model. A middle school grew from 650 students to 780 students in 5 years. What's the percent of increase? So again, that bar model right there, that bar diagram, it represents the total 650 students that I'm starting with. That is 100% of my students at the time. But since I'm going to increase the amount, let's find out how much that is. So when I subtract those values, I'm going to be adding on an additional 130 students. So like we did before, let's divide 650 by 130, and that's going to equal 5, which tells me I can divide my bar model into 5 equal sections, each of those representing 130 students. So since I have 5 sections, each of those represents 20%. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And then that's telling me that this additional 130 students is also another 20% of my total. So to conclude this example, I could say that the number of students is going to be increased by 20%. Okay, so I hope that that makes sense. We're going to use another example now. It says last month you had 52 Instagram followers and now you have 61. What is the percent of increase? Instead of using that bar model, we are going to be using a ratio. And we're going to be comparing the amount of change to simply the original amount. So whatever my starting amount is in my example. Once we divide those two values, we'll multiply it by 100, and that will give us our percent of change. So to find the amount of change, let's subtract 61 minus 52. And we're going to divide that by the original amount, which is 52. And then we're going to multiply that by 100. So 61 minus 52 is 9. So I have the fraction 9 over 52. And I can go ahead and do some division. I can use my calculator or do it on the side. And 9 divided by 52 is going to give me the decimal 0.173. When I multiply that by 100, it leaves me with 17.3. and then I can add on my percentage. So that's it. In this example, we can see that our Instagram followers increased by 17.3%. Okay, so if you don't like drawing the bar models and you want to use some calculations, you could do it this way. This example says the average cost of gas in 2000 was $1.50 per gallon, and today you spent $3.30 per gallon. What is the percent of increase? So again, we're going to write our ratio comparing the amount of change to the original amount and multiply it by 100. So to find the change, it'll be $3.30 minus $1.50, all divided by that original amount of $1.50. And when I subtract those values, I get $1.80 over $1.50. And then we're going to multiply that again by 100. So when I do some division, I get 1.2 times 100, which gives me 120%, which seems really high, but when you look at it, we more than doubled the starting price. So here it makes sense. The cost of gas increased by 120%. Okay? So now here's a new one. While training for a cross-country race, you decreased your time from 35 minutes to 28 minutes. What is the percent of decrease? So again, with our bar model, the total starting time was 35 minutes, and that represents 100% of our time. So I'm going to subtract my two values to find out how much changed, and it was 7 minutes. So this time I'm going to take my 7 and I'm going to divide it from the 35 to give me 5, which is going to tell me I'm going to divide my bar model into 5 equal sections, each of those representing 7 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. But since we are decreasing, that means that we're actually going to be taking away 7 of those minutes. And we want to find out what percentage that is. So each of those sections represents 20% of the total of the 35 minutes. And so if I'm taking out one of those sections, that means that I am decreasing it by 20%. So to conclude, I could say that the time decreased by 20%. That's pretty good if you can really get that much faster in your race time. Let's do one more here. During our drought, the water level in the lake dropped from 25.2 feet to 18.9 feet. What's the percent of decrease? So again, I'm going to label this as 25.2 for the entire bar model there. And I'm going to find the amount that changed by subtracting my two values. And that's going to go ahead and give me, I think, 6.3. So if I take my total and divide it by 6.3, that's going to give me 4, which means I can divide this evenly into 4 sections, each representing 6.3 feet. Oops, I wrote 6.5, so just ignore that. But as you can tell, each of those sections represents 25% of my total. And so if I'm taking out 6.3 feet, that means that I am removing or I'm decreasing the starting amount by 25%. So I can say that the water level decreased by 25%. All right, let's do one final example. You bought a Blu-ray for $25 and now it is on sale for $10.50. What is the percent of decrease? So like we did before, I'm going to show you this other method of writing it out as a ratio, comparing the amount of change to the original amount. And then we will multiply it by 100. So to find the amount of change, I'm going to subtract 25 minus $10.50 and divide it by 25. So that leaves me with $14.50 divided by $25. And when I divide those values, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get 0.58. and multiplying that by 100 leaves me with 58%. So in this example, I could say that the price of this Blu-ray, it actually dropped significantly, right? So I could say that the price dropped 58% from that original price. So to conclude, I have 3 problems for you to try on your own. I'd like you to write these problems down and then try to solve each of them, and we will check it when we come into class together. So let me know if you have any questions. I will see you in class.